What if I told you? The moment she walked away was actually the moment you gained the most power, not by chasing, not by begging, not by proving anything, but by understanding one simple psychological shift most men never see. And once you get this, the regret doesn't come from you trying to win her back. It comes from her realizing what she lost. Stay with me, because this isn't dating advice you hear everywhere. This is the psychology that flips the entire dynamic. Today we're talking about why she'll regret leaving once you understand this psychology. And more importantly, how to use it in a healthy, self-respecting way. This video isn't about manipulation. It's about human behavior, emotional patterns, and value perception. If you've ever been left confused, replaced quickly, or told, "I just don't feel the same anymore," this video is for you. Let's start with the first truth most people don't want to hear. Point number 1. Attraction doesn't leave, it fades. Here's the mistake most men make. They think attraction disappears all at once. It doesn't. Attraction fades slowly, usually when emotional tension dies and predictability takes over. Think about it. At the beginning, she didn't know how you'd react, how available you were, how much she mattered to you. That uncertainty created emotional engagement. But over time, if she felt too certain of your availability, too comfortable emotionally, too safe without challenge, her nervous system stopped responding. Not because you weren't good enough, but because mystery was gone. And here's the key insight. When she leaves, she expects you to stay the same. That's where regret begins. Point number 2. Absence reveals value, not words. When she left, she thought, "I'll move on. I'll feel better. I'll find someone else." And at first, she probably did feel relief. Why? Because relief comes before reflection. But psychology works in stages. Once your presence is gone, no texts, no emotional availability, no validation, her brain starts doing something dangerous. It fills the silence with memory, and memory doesn't replay arguments. It replays emotional peaks, the laughs, the safety, the moments she felt seen. That's when comparison begins. And here's the brutal truth. The man who disappears with dignity becomes more powerful than the man who explains himself. Point number 3. Chasing kills the chance for regret. This is where most men destroy their leverage. They send long messages, emotional explanations, "I can change" speeches, and every one of those messages does one thing psychologically. It tells her, "I haven't grown, I've shrunk." Regret requires contrast. She must see who you were versus who you've become without her. If you chase, you remove that contrast. If you stay calm, grounded, and focused on your life, you create something powerful. Cognitive dissonance. She starts thinking, "Why isn't he reacting the way I expected?" That question alone keeps you in her mind. Point number 4. Self-respect is the trigger. Here's the part nobody teaches. Women don't regret leaving men who collapse. They regret leaving men who rise quietly. When you improve your life, strengthen your boundaries, stop explaining yourself, you activate something deep in human psychology: loss aversion. The brain feels loss twice as strongly as gain. She doesn't miss what you gave her. She misses who you became without her. And that realization hits late, usually when you've already moved forward. Let me ask you this. Be honest in the comments. Did she leave when things became too comfortable? I read every comment. All right, let's go deeper, because this is where things get uncomfortable, and where most men lose control emotionally. If you understand this part, you stop reacting and start leading the situation instead of chasing it. Point number 5. Her new relationship is not what you think. One of the most painful moments is seeing her with someone new, and your brain immediately tells you, "She's happier. She's replaced me. It's over." But psychology says something very different. Most rebound relationships are not about love. They're about regulation. She didn't replace you. She replaced how you made her feel. The problem? Rebounds are built on distraction, not depth. At first, everything feels exciting. There's novelty, there's validation, but novelty fades fast when it's not backed by emotional grounding. And here's where regret sneaks in. She starts comparing emotional safety versus surface excitement. And guess who usually represents safety, history, and emotional familiarity? You. Not because you chased, but because you became scarce. Point number 6. Growth without flexing is deadly. Here's a mistake many men make after learning self-improvement. They want her to see it. They post more. They show more. They try to signal success. But real psychological impact comes from indirect awareness, not display. When she hears, "You're doing well, you're focused, you're unbothered," without you saying a word, her mind fills in the blanks. And the blanks are always more powerful than proof. Silence plus growth. That's curiosity. Curiosity plus history. That's regret. That's why disappearing correctly is more effective than showing off. Point number 7. Regret comes when you're no longer waiting. This is the most important mindset shift. Regret doesn't happen when you want her back. It happens when you stop rehearsing conversations, you stop checking her socials, you stop tying your worth to her choice. Because now, the power dynamic flips. She feels uncertainty, loss of access, loss of emotional influence, and the moment she senses she no longer controls your emotional state, that's when regret peaks. Not because she wants you back immediately, but because she no longer feels irreplaceable. The biggest truth most men miss. She doesn't regret leaving because of pain. She regrets leaving because of contrast. Old you, predictable, emotionally available, always there. New you, grounded, unavailable, self-directed. That gap is what haunts her. And here's the paradox. The moment you truly move on is often the moment she looks back. I want to know, what was the hardest part for you after she left? The silence, the jealousy, or the self-doubt? Drop it in the comments. You're not alone in this. If this video gave you clarity, like it so more men hear this message, subscribe the Feminine Code if you want psychology-based content that actually works in real life, not fantasy advice.